Welcome to the Practical Growth Podcast. I'm your host, E.B. Johnson, top writer on Medium.com, published author, and master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. You've landed on the podcast that takes you on a journey into the heart of relationships and self-discovery. This is a must listen for those who are ready to overcome their toxic relationships and their toxic patterns. You can expect real talk, practical guidance, and raw and relatable guests that you'll be talking about for weeks. Let's get into it. Hello again, my lovelies. It is me, EB, your favorite Medium.com writer, your favorite podcast host, and your favorite viral TikTok NLP-MP. And this week, back again, believe it or not. I know you're shocked to see me 2 weeks in a row. Can we keep the streak going? I'm back with a great episode. We are continuing on from last week in the topic of forgiveness, which I know riled some of you up quite a bit. We are going to delve into the realm of self-compassion today, which I think is a very important topic because it is one that survivors like to avoid, and it's one that survivors are really, really bad at. So we're going to break it down today. What is radical self-compassion? How can you incorporate it into your journey? What does it actually look like, and what does it mean? Why do you have to do it? Why aren't you already doing it? You know me, we're going to cover all the bases and give you some actionable steps that you can take to start incorporating this radical self-compassion into your life, and you can improve your mental and emotional well-being that way. So that's what we're going to cover today. But first, a few quick housekeeping items. Few spots left in my 8-week private coaching program that is coming up. So if you want to jump in, if you want to learn how to regulate your emotions, if you want to literally improve your neuroplastic processes and help rebuild the connections in your brain so that you can improve anxiety, so you can improve depression, so that you can start taking control of your life, then you need to apply for this program. You will work with me one-on-one over 8 weeks using NLP practices to improve your life, your mental and emotional well-being, and to create a plan for you to course correct yourself and your future. To apply for this, you need to head to therealebjohnson.com and click on Working with Me. I've had a lot of messages on TikTok, and I've had several messages on Instagram as well asking, how do I get coached by you? This is it. You need to head to therealebjohnson.com and click on Working with Me, fill out the application, and I will be in touch. We will get you set up and we will get you going right away. All right, radical self-compassion. Let's jump right in. What am I talking about? What is this mystical, magical skill or outlook or a state of mind that I'm talking about? Self-compassion is one of the most important parts of the healing journey. And in short, it is a radical acceptance and understanding of self. It is holding space for every version of who you are, no matter how flawed that person was. That's why I say we're carrying on from the theme of forgiveness, right? Because forgiveness is to say, you are absolved for the things you did wrong, for that person that you hurt, or for that, that test answer that you bombed, or that choice you didn't make, all of those things, right? That is what forgiveness is. But self-compassion is holding a firm emotional space for that person. It is saying, not only are you forgiven, but I understand you, I love you, and I see the humanity in you. You're allowed to screw up, and I believe that you can and will be better. That is what self-compassion is. And in the few spaces in this kind of self-help world where they accurately kind of nail compassion, because usually when we talk about compassion, right, it's all outwardly directed, which is the flaw with most self-help, right? It's all about outwardly trying to control things. And the compassion, it's the same. We always talk about compassion in terms of others, but compassion in terms of self is the real get. That's the real big miss, the real big key component, is having that same love and understanding and belief in yourself to be better, to do better, that you are something good, that you are something worthwhile. Now, that myth around self-compassion is usually, right, that it's just lovey-dovey soft stuff. It is just saying nice things all the time. But compassion is not always just the fluffy stuff. Compassion can be difficult things. It can be uncomfortable things. The point of compassion, again, is holding that space for love, accountability, and that elevation of the self, that that push to be better. That's always the thing about compassion, right? Like, look at when you have compassion for another person. It's not just saying like, oh no, I understand that you messed up. When you have that conversation with someone about the compassion that you have for them, you're ultimately saying, I see that you messed up, but I like know you're going to do better in the future. And it's the same with that future, with the radical self-compassion. It's knowing that you're still a good person, even though you messed up, and the absolutely firm conviction that you're going to do better in the future. And doing better in the future looks like different things. It's not just cute meditations and hugging yourself and nice little affirmations and cutesy lovey-dovey. It's not. It can be very uncomfortable, and that's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at why it's so important for you. Now, the reason that most of you listening who are survivors that or like, I know I don't have self-compassion, there's a reason for that. If you came from a really abusive home, if you came from, let's say, narcissistic parents, emotionally abusive, physically abusive parents, emotionally immature parents, or even, let's just say you had good parents, but you got pummeled in school by people, and then you got into really bad relationships when you left the home. If that's the case, you tend to grow up being someone who is conditioned to be compassionate towards others, right? If you were raised by abusers or surrounded by abusers or had abusive partners in your life, then they conditioned you to always be compassionate to them, right? Because they always had an excuse. If they hit you and left a black eye, it was, oh, I'm so sorry. It's just having such a tough time at work. I'm so stressed about money and losing the home, whatever it is. There's always this excuse, which makes you pity them, which brings on that compassion, that empathy, right? You are conditioned to hold that for them. But what happens when you mess up? When you grow up in these abusive environments, when you have these abusive relationships, that compassion is not allowed for you, is it? Because if you go to those people and you look for that same compassion, what happens? You're rejected, right? You're rejected, or you're brutalized, or you are emotionally cut down. You are learned to doubt yourself, to doubt your emotional experiences. So over time, you learn, I give compassion to others, but I don't have it for myself. You learn to be quite cruel to yourself. You learn to be quite dismissive, right? To downplay your feelings. That's where the break happens. And that's where those of us with these kind of dysfunctional backgrounds often lose that sight of self-compassion and what it really, really looks like. So let's look at it then. What is this radical self-compassion that I'm talking about? What does it look like in execution? If it's this kind of protecting yourself and your well-being, then what is it? What is this higher self that it brings about? What is this kindness in this space that we hold? It's not just journaling and meditations and positive affirmations of, you're so beautiful, I love you so much. Here is the reality of radical self-compassion. Number one, standing up for yourself. Correct. Being compassionate to yourself can mean drawing the line with other people. We've created this idea that self-compassion is like, I must forgive everything and everyone at all times. It's way more complicated than that, okay? You can protect your boundaries as a part of maintaining your well-being. You can stand up for your needs. You can be kind to your body, draw the line and the limits with other people and the access that they have to you mentally, emotionally, physically. You're allowed to do all that, and you're allowed to tell people, no. That is self-compassion. If it means protecting yourself, if it means not exhausting yourself, burning yourself out for someone else. Number two, getting medical help. Getting medical help is an act of self-compassion. I know that in these like self-help and healing spaces, there's this idea like mind over matter. And some of that is true, but sometimes you need a doctor or a therapist who has the ability to prescribe medication, right? A psychiatrist. Sometimes that's just a fact of the matter because there are physical elements to our experiences. And part of those physical elements are our brain chemicals, our brain structures, the rest of our nervous systems, right? Sometimes compassion is accepting the medical help, getting treatment, taking medication that you don't necessarily want to deal with. It's not always mind over matter, calling in angels, higher powers, vibrations, and frequencies. Okay. Sometimes there's a real physical element that has to be treated for you to feel better, to get better, to have better relationships. That is self-compassion. Number three, doing nothing at all. is self-compassion. Literally telling the world to screw off, shutting the door and locking yourself in the house for a weekend to just sleep, watch movies, hang out with your dog, recharge, reset, get positive, focused, and ready to deal with the hassles of the week ahead. That is self-compassion. Doing nothing. Your brain and your body are not invincible. You've heard me say this 1,000,001 times. It's especially true for those of you like me who have a chronic illness. You only got so many spoons. Stop wasting them and stop spending ones you don't have to spend. Doing nothing is a radical act of self-compassion, especially when it means telling other people no. Number 4, controlling your inner critic. Controlling your inner critic. Positive affirmations are great, but they don't control that nasty voice inside of you at all times, do they? You have to find practical ways to control that nasty, negative voice inside of you who doubts you, who tells you you're not lovable, that you're not worthwhile, okay? Because that voice will destroy you. That voice is anti-compassion. And as long as it reigns inside your brain every time you encounter a decision or a person or any kind of situation or experience, you will not be able to exercise the radical self-compassion that you need to move forward and to recover and to heal and to create regulation and peace for your nervous system and your thoughts and everything else that's attached to that. Number 5, building better connections. Listen, you don't have to have crappy people in your life. You just don't. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're your parents. It doesn't matter if they are cousins, siblings, coworkers, all of those things. None of those people have to have any kind of substantial access to you in your life. Your life will look and feel better when it has better people in it. And I'm not saying that your happiness is dependent on others. It's not, but it's certainly a component for most of us, right? Because we're humans, we're social creatures. We like to have social connections. We like to talk to other people, bounce our ideas and our emotions off of other people. We like the safety of having people around us. And that's beautiful. That's fine. But they need to be good people, okay? You're only going to feel as good as the people around you in terms of your social needs, okay? You're not going to feel fulfilled, comfortable, safe, loved, celebrated, any of those things if the only people you have around you are miserable, suffering, refusing to improve their lives, refusing to find any positivity in the experience, refusing to fight for themselves, to fight for whatever it is that they want in their lives. So, better connections are required. And if you got to build better skills to get there, then that's what you got to do. Side note, I do have my dog in here with me today, Mr. Percy. For those who follow me on TikTok, you guys have probably heard him. He is in here in my little podcast office with me today, and you will probably hear him snoring, so apologies. Okay, number 6. This one's one of my favorite ones. This component of radical self-compassion is one that I have become really good at, and I was not good at when we started, but here we are. Number 6, saying no more often. Yes, saying no to people is literally self-compassion, especially if it means burning yourself out, running yourself down, becoming unable to complete something for yourself because you've given everything to someone else. Okay, that's not okay. If you need to turn down an event, if you need to turn down a person, if you need to tell a friend, thanks, but no thanks, I'll send a gift, then that's what you do. Turning down things, turning down people, it's an act of self-compassion. Number 7, allowing yourself to make mistakes. That's right. Being human is an act of self-compassion. Just allowing yourself to be flawed, to be as you are, to get things wrong, to choose the wrong people, to choose the wrong careers. All of the above. You are allowed to get it wrong. You know why? Because at no point in your human experience, when you are in the moment, will you have all of the details? Will you have all of the facts? Will you have all of the information? I don't care what we're talking about, relationships, politics, movies. You don't realize all of the details until it's over, do you? And you can look back with an enlightened eye and with more information and with a full understanding. You're gonna get it wrong because you can't always make choices with every single shred of information. Some of that information only exists in the future, and you're not there yet. So allow yourself to get it wrong. Allow yourself to drop the ball. Be gracious to yourself. Have some mercy when you make mistakes and go, oh, that's right. I'm a human being. on a rock spinning through space, and I don't have every single fact in the universe. Therefore, I cannot be perfect. Last but not least, real self-compassion looks like dropping your judgments. Looks like dropping your judgments. This is one of the greatest acts of self-compassion, right? There's no point in judging yourself. Okay? There's no point. It goes back to that humanity. It's allowing yourself to be flawed, to be real, to be as you are in the present moment. And then when you are one day in the future, looking back and going, oh yeah, that's right. I was in the present moment and I'm a human being. Accept yourself, full acceptance, good or bad. That's not allowance. That's not creating more of it in the future. It's just saying, I did that. Not great. Let's do better next time. Okay. That is like the final piece of radical self-compassion. And it's also the core of self-awareness. So those are some of the ways in which we can be radically self-compassionate to ourselves, right? Radically self-compassionate. But there are 3 things that I want you to do starting right away so that you can put this radical self-compassion in action for yourself in your life over the next week, okay? The next time you hear my voice in a new episode, I want you to have done these 3 things. Number 1, change the way you view mistakes, okay? Choose to see your mistakes as opportunities. Stop looking at them as these like personal self-judgments, like these horrible marks against your permanent record. Mistakes don't define you. Everyone screws up. Everyone gets something really, really wrong. Everyone has something in their past that they're horribly ashamed of. So what? Just, it's going to happen. So stop being afraid that it somehow puts you down on some hierarchical system that doesn't exist. Number 2, learn how to see your humanity. Sometime over the next week, I want you to celebrate your humanity. And that's going to mean something different for every single person. For me, it meant learning how to applaud myself when I got something wrong, learning how to say openly, oh yeah, sorry, no, I did that thing wrong. I want you to see the humanity in the experience that you're having. Okay. See the humanity. Choose kindness for yourself when you get it wrong instead of self-criticism. Sometimes that's the celebration. And if you can get there, I want you to reward yourself. And last but not least, the 3rd step I want you to take between now and the next time you hear my voice is I want you to create a new inner monologue. There is no sense in punishing yourself anymore. Not if you're committed to a healthier life, to a happier life, to more self-regulation. I don't care what your circumstances are. You are going to move beyond it. You are capable of moving beyond it. You're here. You're listening to these kinds of things. You obviously want to move beyond it. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Stop beating yourself up. Stop doubting yourself. Stop being cruel. Instead of saying to yourself, oh, look, you did it again. You failed. You're going to fail. Try saying to yourself, this is it. This is your opportunity to learn, to grow, to move on, to get it right for you. I want you to spend the next week talking to yourself the same way that you would talk to a friend, to a lover, to a child. Don't lie and don't mince words, okay? Be direct, but be appropriate and be kind. Say these things as though this is dire information that they need, but you love them and you don't want to hurt them when you tell them. Ask yourself questions. Lead yourself gently to the right answers, to the plans, to the goals that you need to achieve. Give yourself room to be human, and in that space, find your deeper sense of that self-compassion that has to be expressed for you. There is no healing without finding space for this compassion when it comes to you, okay? If you only spend the rest of your life being compassionate to other people, if you only spend your time being compassionate to other people, then guess what? You're going to become a doormat. You're going to become a doormat because when you give and you give and you give and you only hold space for the flaws of others, you allow them to push the boundaries closer and closer and closer until you're walled in with nothing left. Okay? You deserve the compassion, the empathy, the understanding that you give to other people. But until you create that new inner monologue, until you seek better people, until you start taking your medications, until you go to therapy, until you get a coach, until you go to the doctor, whatever it is, you're not going to get there. You have to start holding room for yourself. And I don't know any other way to express that. Forgiving yourself, yes, saying, yep, look, there's the thing. I messed up. I'm human. Uh-oh, you're forgiven. That is great. But until you can actively love yourself, cradle yourself after a mistake, it's not going to go anywhere. Self-compassion is not just nice words. It's an act. It's an act of doing nothing. It's an act of doing everything. It's an act of saying no. It's an act of cutting people out of your life. Okay? That is compassion for you. Stop falling into those repeating patterns of only giving compassion to other people and start giving it to yourself. Make space for your authenticity. And in that space, you will find the freedom to stand up, to act, to start literally changing your life. So much of the fear becomes removed when you learn to just have this real compassion for yourself. So how are you going to do that? What is that going to look like in your life? Where are those lines going to be drawn for you? I can't answer that. My snoring dog here in the background certainly can't answer that. You're going to answer that, and you're not going to do it overnight. You're not going to walk away from this podcast and have all the answers. It's going to take some time. So again, give yourself some grace to be a human and take that time and figure things out as you need to figure them out. Thank you so much for being here. Apologies for my snoring podcast guest down there today, but I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much for reading on Medium. You guys have sent my Medium page through the roof over the last few weeks, and I'm so grateful. I'm really, really grateful. If you haven't been there, then go and check it out. Head over to eb-johnson.com to check me out on Medium, to read my blog. It's really, really focused at survivors, giving you the tools that you need to recover from narcissistic abuse, from toxic relationships, and to give you a better sense of self, and to find the skills you need, or at least the direction you need to improve your mental health, whether that's through therapy or coaching or whatever it is. You can find it all on medium.com. And again, that URL is eb-johnson.com to get in there. For everyone else, again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you for following me on TikTok and for following me on Instagram. If you want to get in on the goodness, you can look me up at The Real E.B. Johnson everywhere it matters. And yeah, I do daily tips, advice, guides, some funny stuff. There's a little bit of everything for everybody. So get on there, follow me, and let's get you on the path to a better you. If you love this episode, if you love the podcast, then don't forget, I will give you a free ebook if you head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. Just take a screenshot of your review, email it to me, or send it to me on Instagram, and bada bing, bada boom, I will send you a free ebook. It really is that easy. So head over to Apple Podcasts and don't forget to leave your 5-star review. It not only helps me, but it helps people like you find this podcast so they can get solid, non-brainwashed influencer, fake guru advice. Okay? Thank you. I love each and every one of you. And until next time, keep your heads up and keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.